This season, Red Bull has dominated, taking every trophy available. The RB19 is already making the other cars on the F1 grid look like F2 vehicles, proving that the team absolutely grasped the new 2022 regulations. Will this hegemony last into the second half of the campaign? What may break their string of victories? As we explore the subject further today, stay tuned. The RB19 from Red Bull has already broken records and appears destined to rank among the greatest Formula One vehicles ever. In fact, it might become the first F1 challenger to sweep the season if Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez aren't hampered by bad luck in the second half of the season. Red Bull's assessment of the RB19, despite the fact that it is outpacing rivals, is quite different. Because it does not consider the RB19 to be a prominent competitor who has offered anything especially extraordinary. It's just an excellent car overall. They believe their vehicle is simply excellent while others are inadequate. But we've never seen them dominate like they are right now. So, according to Red Bull's technical director Pierre Wash, it is average good for everything, which is creating a good car. It's not very good in one aspect. Why we think it is good because we are quicker than others. But fundamentally, I would say we didn't do a fantastic job. We did a good job. I was more surprised by others who didn't do as good a job, I would say. That is why our expectations were different from the beginning of the year. I don't want to be modest or whatever, but when you see some teams are able in 3 races to gain 1 second per lap, it means if you put the stuff together, it will be decent. It doesn't require 2 years of development. The Bulls hold a significant lead over the rest of the grid. In 8 races, there has been a difference of more than 20 seconds between the RB19 and the following constructor's vehicle. In Hungary, Max had a 33-second lead over Lando Norris of McLaren. With all this power, the main question that has always been on everyone's mind is whether or if Red Bull benefited from exceeding the 2021 budget cap, and if so, how much? In order to level the playing field, the FIA imposed the first ever budget cap in 2021, which was set at $144 million. The RB18 from last year, which is the ancestor of the RB19 from this year, was created in 2021, the same year the team was found guilty of a slight cost cap overspend. Red Bull was penalized for the violation with a $7 million fine and a 10% restriction in the amount of time allowed for aero testing. Red Bull was predicted to enter 2023 handicapped as a result, but they are now dominating the competition. Lewis Hamilton also spoke out against the penalty, stating, "Since the last time's punishment wasn't particularly severe, there isn't really any deterrent. Some people may probably try again, even though they know they'll only get a slap on the wrist. However, why is that so? You know, there was a lot of misunderstanding about how cars were developed and how punishment was applied. When Red Bull received the punishment, they were already well into the construction of their 2023 car, and the decrease in testing time didn't start until October 2022. The launch specification for the 2023 automobile had already undergone a significant amount of design and testing by that time. Red Bull was able to be quite particular with their design and testing over the winter, since they knew the development paths they would pursue initially. And that's how the RB19 rocket ship came to be. After a summer break from the Formula One season, Max currently holds a 125-point advantage over Perez in the driver's standings, and Red Bull also leads Mercedes by 250 points in the constructors' standings. It's important to note that Red Bull hasn't made many changes to their car compared to the rest of the grid. Only in Hungary were improvements made available, including upgraded side pods and changed bodywork surrounding the side pod intakes. And those are the only upgrades for the season, according to the team. For the second part of the season, they have a few circuit-specific modifications. There will be a few circuit-specific items, but nothing new or uncommitted from research and development. Christian Horner, the Red Bull team's principal, spoke when outlining the team's development strategy. Why then did the team only roll out one improvement, and why do they not have any additional plans for this year? Upgrading the RB19 would jeopardize their 2024 car due to the wind tunnel time deficit they have as a result of the penalty that is in force until October and having the least amount of aero testing time on the field due to winning the Constructors' Championship last season. Even though the RB19 has won every race this season, there have been challenges everywhere, and it is clear that the competition is still challenging. Red Bull claims that there are problems that must be fixed if the success is to continue. It is not just sitting back and hoping that things would get better. When asked if he had any car issues that kept him up at night, Washa replied, "Everything is waking me up at night. I think the team is good because we are still realistic. Nothing is taken for granted with the other teams. I think in the high downforce case, and especially very high downforce like Budapest and Monaco, I think it's where our weaknesses appear. Also, in quali and in low speed. I think some teams have a better compromise than us there, and that is something we have to improve more on. However, why alter a fantastic car? As the season goes on, the majority of the teams on the grid modify their vehicles. Aston Martin in Canada, Ferrari in Saudi Arabia, Miami in Austria, Mercedes in Monaco, and McLaren in Austria all debuted some changes. While many teams are anticipated to enhance their vehicles over the summer break in preparation for the second half of the season, the competition is doing everything it can to reduce the gap behind Red Bull. Similar to last year, Mercedes continued to improve until the end of the campaign, which helped them win the Brazilian Grand Prix. Will the teams be able to beat the RB19 or even win races is the current concern. Although the Bulls are far ahead of everyone else on the grid, we cannot rule out the potential that another team will challenge them. McLaren, which has emerged as Red Bull's closest challenger during the last two races, is one of the opposition teams, according to Horner, that still enjoy a big lead in car development. The distance between the teams and the Red Bulls gets smaller as they improve their vehicles. Furthermore, if Red Bull doesn't improve their vehicle, they will be exposed for the remainder of the season, and new teams may end up taking first place in the 11 races that remain. And it is because of this realistic perspective that Wash is hesitant to name the RB19 as one of the greatest Formula One cars of all time, even if it does end up being the most successful statistically. "I don't think so," he said, about it being one of the best ever F1 designs. "Maybe we realize that next year because I hope next year's car will be better than this one in absolute terms. The success of the car is great, but I think it is a combination of car and driver. Also, it's all the hard work done since 2014, in rebuilding the team, the new people coming, the new organization, and everything together created what we have now. It has not come in an instant, nor by chance. The RB19 utilizes the DRS in the best possible ways when necessary, has the least amount of tire deterioration on lengthy runs, and uses its tires flawlessly for that one vital qualifying lap. If the Bulls are defeated, it will likely be due to a reliability issue or an error in my opinion, because I do not see it happening due to genuine performance. I can only wait and watch how it turns out, because there are still 11 races to go and anything is possible." Well guys, that brings today's video to a close. For more incredible F1 content, be sure to make a short pit stop at the subscribe button.